How you doing, trappers? Ed Schneider with Kansas Trapline Products. Hey, it's great to be with you here today. Today I want to talk about location of where we're putting in our sets. Let me get into the video here a little bit. And so now we're looking at a location here. We have that has really two to three distinctive areas that I'm interested in trapping. Now, folks got to understand one thing about when we're looking at location, we're looking at trapping. I want you to understand this, and let me make this extremely clear that the trap and the set is important, but it's not the most important. It's not the most important. Matter of fact, it probably ranks somewhere around 5 on my list as far as in the terms of importance. The number one thing as we look at this video here is knowing just where to go. We have this big country here. We have a nice arroyo or drainage, or it could be just a change in elevation. We have a little bit of a butte here to our left, and we can also see further buttes or further drainage, in the background. Trapping is about understanding about the area that you're standing in, where to go. When we look at this type of country, you're going to want to set, 3 or 4 sets per location. If you're going to go all the way to the butte, you're going to want to find sign in the bottom of that draw or on the top side of the draw. It could be a combination of both, and you're going to want to put in some sets where the coyotes are telling you. They're going to make this point clear, where they're telling you. Go over here to the butte. Looks like a spot we might catch a cat or maybe even a coyote up there along the edge of the rocks, some fox. So we're going to put in a few sets over there. We got to make it worth our time and effort to get there. So let's move on to another location here. And here we got another scenario. And this is probably where I get calls, not necessarily about this location, but how do I trap around livestock? Well, in this case, you're probably not going to trap right here. We need to be as far away from them sheep and that border collie as we possibly can. But we can certainly talk to the landowner and find out where he's going to be working the livestock, and let's put our sets somewhere else. This is a great location in the terms of you can see a lot of edges, a lot of green, and that type of thing that we could set, but we're certainly not going to do it right where the livestock are. Here's Richard Thurman, my first mentor we're up in Wyoming, and he's dispatching a skunk right here. And this type of ground, you're going to want to follow is very rough, so you're going to want to follow the natural drainages and look for sign. And where Richard and I are is we're up near the edge of a fence line, up near the divide of this property. So we're actually setting on sign off of a 2-track road, and Richard got himself a nice skunk. But in this case, it's where you got sign. Let it tell you where to go. We move up here. This is eastern Illinois or eastern Kansas. It's big country. In this type of ground, you're looking for the drainages, and you're looking for the divides, what's up high and what's down low. And then we're going to find the cattle trails, and we're going to look for the blowouts to see if we can find some coyote tracks, and we do in this case. And we'll catch ourselves as we'll catch coyotes where they walk, but you got to know where to go. And in this case, those trees look awfully, even though it's not a forest or anything, it does indicate that there's a little bit of moisture down there, and that trees can actually grow and spread themselves. But when we get ourselves into the cattle, I actually at this set right here, I actually caught a coyote. I'm about a quarter mile from where a water tank was. On that particular day, the cows caught me, which meant I dispatched the coyote, and then I turned right around and pulled the trap. So nothing I could do here. Once the cows see where your set is and everything, and of course these are young heifers here, and they're just gonna be a real pain in the keister to you. So you move on, you get the heck away from these types of places. Going back to the gentleman on an earlier picture, that had the big pasture. Well, this is the micro view of that. You can see a cut bank behind the trapper that was with me, and also you'll see a blowout that's right behind the coyote. There is a cattle trail that runs around that edge. I know it doesn't show up very well, but having sign told me, number one, I like the location, which is that coulee that run up through the pasture, and I'm also away from any cattle or whatever, and I'm putting in a set right here. I don't remember if this was a trail set or a dirt hole. It doesn't matter. The key is I was setting on sign and that type of thing. Here's the same location, but a week later with a couple of other, or a few days later with a couple of other students. Now you can start to see the trail. Now this is obviously a different coyote, where one of the gentlemen is standing, the tall gentleman, trapper, is actually standing in the trail, and this is a trail set where we caught a coyote. This is actually day 2 of these gentlemen's trip, because we saw this coyote and he actually tripped this trap, or I'm sorry, dug up this trap. Well, we redid the set the next day. We caught him, so needless to say, we got a couple of very happy trappers. But I'm in this draw. You can see the couple of trees down in that draw. You can see the natural drainage behind these 2 trappers, and we can see the trail that runs alongside of that draw. That's where you're going to look for sign. You find the sign, you catch the coyote, that type of thing. Now we're up on the hill of this property here in eastern Kansas, and now we're up on the divide. Now a divide is simply this. The water drains both directions off of a divide. Divide just does it. It divides 2 bodies of water. So from the north side of this particular pasture, it goes to one creek, and on the south side of this property, it goes to one river. So it changes up depending on where you're at. Well, the coyotes will run down the center of these draws if you can find the main trails. And again, you don't need to have cows around here. But this particular trail, I have 4 sets on it. This is a little bit on the high side, but if we go beyond that coyote and follow that trail, there is a saddle right there, which leads us right here into our next student on another day. And this is all during that same time frame, but we have another student on another day, and he's down in that saddle. So all of a sudden we catch ourselves a coyote that we have a trail that goes behind me, and it goes north and south, whereas they'll say this trail goes east and west. So, but it takes coyote sign. You find the trail, you find the sign, you set the sign, catch the coyote. That's kind of how it works. Now here's my wife, Delia. We're on a trip. We were actually out looking for land, and we were talking to landowners and that type of a thing. And I told her, I says, go stand out there and mark the spot. So I guess she's an X in this case, but X marks the spot. We have an edge of a field of a center pivot right where Delia is standing. We also have a little bit of a wheat stubble, which goes right back into corn on another circle. So this is a great location. She's actually standing in Colorado. So I'm on the Kansas side. She's on the Colorado side of this particular field. So we just happen to be, if you want to know what eastern Colorado looks like, there you go. It looks like western Kansas. So, but we have an edge and we have another edge behind that. You want to check out edges when we're in that. One of our farms up in the Dakotas that I was trapping in, and this happened to be a real pretty day. But those hedgerow edges, this particular photo here, when we're looking at location, actually shows two different key locations. One of them is going to be coyotes that are running the hedge tree line, but we also have a drainage in the bottom that going from left to right, and you're going to want to set up traps to accommodate that. You could have one trap that accomplishes them both, or you can go ahead and put in a few traps. But when you're looking at pasture type of ground, and that type of a thing, that's what you're looking for. So 2 different locations there. Just ignore everything else. when we look at it. Here we got the dancing coyote, the jumping coyote. We're in crop ground, and guess what? Crop ground has very distinct edges. Here we are next to new wheat, next to wheat stubble, next to corn stubble behind them. These are pretty good locations, and certainly you want to have traps covering both directions, and not necessarily just in the corner, but also in case the coyotes decide to go from the wheat to the corn and just totally skip the corner. So we want to cover that when we're looking at location. But as always, like this, like we're looking at here, X marks the spot in the terms of our coyote track. It doesn't get any better than this when you have sign on a trail, and this is what makes the decision of whether or not we set a location. So again, here's another trail in the bottom of a pasture draw down here. This is a snared coyote. I have shown this photo. I've shown this photo in snared snaring videos. But the point being is it's a location, and it's a pinch point is what I got here. I have this not like a pussy willow type of a bush with the trail going around it, so it made a nice pinch point, easy to set up. When we're looking at our pasture or our crop ground, right here, we have 4 sides to every field. That's more or less what it is. Check each of these sides out when we're looking at location. Check each side out. Cover the sides you think have good sign, and believe me, a crop change is just as good as a hedgerow. So the more grass or the brushier edge, the better, that type of a thing. But at least get a trap in to cover the travels of a coyote as we go down the line, as we look at it. Here we have a different type of an edge, and it's not an edge at all is what we got here, but we do have ourselves a pasture. It's all owned by the same rancher. That being said, though, but he's got a bull pasture on one side of the fence. He has a cows on the other, and we have a trail. So we actually have coyotes that are coming through the fence, which makes great snaring opportunities. Plus, we have the trail, which you could snare it or you could trail trap it. Those are good, but we have an edge. The fence actually created the edge, which created the trail because the cattle are walking that edge. Same thing. This is the same view, same location, looking the other way. And you can see that nice spoil draw that comes through there. And there is a coyote in this photograph, snared. I'm not going to zoom in on it, but there is a coyote in it. And good location right here. Looking at the bottom of these creek draws and that types of things. Now, these can be dry ditches that run through there. And this comes off the edge of, it's a good snaring opportunity. But when we find these ditches, well, coyotes will use them in the timber as well. So that's what makes these types of, this is South Dakota. It looks totally different than some of my Kansas photos and what have you. Another edge coming up here in the Dakotas. Got a fence line corner post. We got a real rough area with buckbrush to the right. Cattle have created a trail, and the coyotes are using that trail. Buckbrush makes it ideal to go ahead and hang up a snare and get them caught. We've already covered this set. I don't know why I put it in twice. Let's continue on here. So here's where we're at in Missouri when I lived there, and Rich Thurman's putting a cat down, choking a cat down, and we're on a woods 2-track road, which there is no tracks here because it's fall and all the leaves have fallen and all of that. But you can see that it's a great location to catch some cats right here in Missouri. And we come here to Kansas, and all of a sudden we got a different location to catch a cat, totally different. And he's following this old brushy fence line. You can kind of see the fence post to the right. Plus, we have cattle trails leading up to this. So having both locations are good cat locations. It's a matter of don't let one. And I'm showing you these two sets because our location, because I don't want you to think, well, this is a cat spot. Well, the other's a cat spot as well. Richard and I have had a lot of good days as we've been out trapping. This is up in Mequon, Illinois. When I first took instruction from Craig and him teaching me these types of things, and of course we get into other good days where, of course, that's a good skinning day right there. I can tell you that, and I tell you, I was tired skinning them old rascals out. But let's move in here to our fence line type photos. You know, we find belly unders, and we can find also our trails running along fences and that type of thing. We got a rear foot catch right there, but then we get into another coyote. This is in a coyote that I actually had on a drag. Caught the coyote in buckbrush country, and the fence is what saved him. It got him hung up in that fence, but nonetheless, my set is along the fence line just further down. Great locations as coyotes want to run these fence lines. If cattle makes a trail, it's a good chance a coyote is willing to use it. It makes for easy walking. Guess what? We have a trail. I'm actually sitting on a 2-track road, but this cattle trail runs across the 2-track road, and there's actually a water source probably another mile behind me, but that's where this trail actually leads to. I had sign. You want to set up that type of a trail. Guess what? Here we are right near the waters, a different water source. But the water source created the opportunity. I saw tracks. Thus, I turned right around and put in a nice small dirt hole set. I'm not in a trail here, but it's the tracks around the water tank that create the need to put a set in. You don't need to have a million sets. You just need to put 1 or 2 in at these locations. Get them caught. I'm on a 2-track road that a rancher is using to go around to feed his cattle. Now you notice this coyote's in the bottom of a draw. Coyotes were doing 2 things here. They're actually running the 2-track road, and they were actually crossing in the bottom of that draw. So it's another opportunity to catch a coyote. Looking up here, we have ourselves another coyote caught along the edge of a 2-track road with a coyote trail right nearby. So, I mean, you know, there's a million ways to catch these coyotes. Another trail, another coyote, another burn circle. You wonder why I put in so many trail sets. It's not just because I have a trail. It's because the coyotes told me they're there. They are walking on the set. Here we have a coyote that's running a road, a 2-track road, at a bridge crossing and a dirt. Now, I couldn't set the trap right there in the road, and this is compliments of actually Jason Vance. Jason Vance of Advanced Predator Management actually put this set in, and but I checked this set, and there's the coyote in it, and this coyote is actually caught off in the dirt hole set off the edge of a 2-track road near a drainage ditch. You know, enough of where the rancher had to build a little bridge right there. Going on at another location, we have cattle trails that have really become an arroyo. That's really what's happening right here. This is the early stages of a good arroyo. The cattle have worked the trails out, and probably that's also automobile tracks. And more or less, the ground is not able to hold the soil anymore, and slowly but surely, it's becoming a deep arroyo. We are at the early stages of this spot, but we can catch a coyote running that fence line on the edge of the arroyo. Looking up here, another 2-track road. I don't want to set the road, but I got coyotes that are actually cutting this corner and having a dirt hole set right at that location. That's what makes this particular location good. Guess what? Another 2-track road coming up. This made a nice opportunity to put a set in just off of the road, using a big old rock to use as backing at this set and draw the coyotes as the wind goes from the coyote side toward the roadside, which gives them the wind advantage. The coyotes smell the set and move on across. Another bottom trail. This goes up to a divide. Another cattle trail. There's nothing special about this other than it was a great catch by myself. I'll give myself kudos and to see this spot. But I'm following this trail up from the bottom, and that's a good location. Here's the middle of a center pivot between two center pivots. I don't have the other picture because I actually took a video. I thought this coyote looked great. I might even use it for a catalog cover. But this is right in between, exactly between one center pivot and another. So it creates a natural pinch point between the two cornfields that comes through. Looking out here, this is a video I did not too long ago, but we have a solid cornfield here to the left, and we actually have a salient feature of tumbleweeds here to the right. For whatever reason, it did not get sprayed. That's a mess right there, but that salient feature is enough to get the coyotes interested enough to come across from the corn to the salient feature to check it out for mice and food opportunities. Looking here, we got a new wheat along old wheat. Always pick the new wheat side, the easier walking side. If you're looking at soybean field versus corn field, well, if corn would be on the right, you want to set the soybean field. And again, I seen sign as the coyotes walked along this edge. Remember, it's an edge that interested me. The second thing is I need to catch the coyotes. So then I got to look for sign. My friend John Carville here, when he came out with me, another edge shot, got him caught there. John's also going to be along with me, and where we're going to catch a double along where they parked the center pivot. But look at that nice brushy edge. Guys, if you want to catch coyotes and bobcats, you want to have that brushy edge, just like what I'm showing right here. Plus, there's coyote tracks running along the edge of this new wheat, which makes it ideal. But I would have set this up even if I wouldn't have found any sign. I would at least put in a set or two because they're going to hunt that outside edge. They're not going to walk in it necessarily until they smell something or they want to lay down. But they're actually out there hunting that edge as they go through it. Another edge. This is a crop change. This is a crop field next to a pasture. That's all this is. And I put in a set. I actually had some sign here, so I set that area up. Another trail. The coyotes told me that they were walking here in this trail. Easy peasy to catch them, that type of a thing. Another edge. Guess what, guys? This is a reoccurring theme, isn't it? Got another edge along the edge. We have bare dirt, in this case, like a 2-track road along the edge of a cornfield. Let's keep moving along here as we go. Here I got coyotes that are going down a farm service road, but because we're talking, this is where they hook up the center pivot or the pump to the center pivot, and they want to go check it. They have a service road here. Guess what? Coyotes are using that. So I just simply put, it's very hard ground, but I just simply put in a scent post set right out here in the road. Unfortunately, this coyote was a little mangy, so it was of no value. That being said, it's a great location to catch coyotes walking to there. Another thing here, we got a fence line, we have action, and you can even see from this angle, there's a lot of tracks in this bare dirt, so we don't want to pass up opportunities like it. It's the fence line that caught my eye. Then I get there, you see where the cattle have created out a nice bare dirt location. There's a lot of action here as that you want to set up. And so for you guys out there, here's a coyote caught next to a cow in the pasture. If you can't get it because of cattle pressure, then you need to set the outside of the pasture. That's what we just got to do. I put a dirt hole set right here on the outside edge of that fence line. Old farm buildings are ideal locations to catch coyotes, and especially bobcats out west. Anything like this, believe it or not, guess what, guys? This is a brushy edge is what we have. We also have, the amount of rats and mice are thick in here. Probably a lot of coons, possums, and skunks. But it's such a good location in western Kansas to catch bobcat. I don't want to pass up on it. Moving on, when you get down to it, it doesn't matter the type of a set that you really put in. I don't get hung up on this set that I did. The point about it is we got to have the proper location. Here's another set, an RJ set. What's important at this, you got to make a good set, but at the same token, what's important about this is not the set, it's the location of the set. That's what's really important about this. I'm on an edge. I'm on an edge there. You can see that we got some milo to the left, next to a corn stubble here. Coyotes are going to be walking down the short grass side. Another edge next to some foxtail. The set is not important, although it's a great set as the coyotes are walking along this foxtail type of an edge. Then finally, we're getting down here to the last couple shots. We have a pond, we have a trail, and coyotes are going up and over it. Simply the pond caught my eye. As you investigate a little further, now you're finding coyote sign. Simply set that sign. If you can, put the trap right where they're walking. But if not, at least set off the trail or whatever, if for whatever reason, and we can catch that coyote. And hopefully you're going to have a beautiful sunset just like this as we get at the end of your day to reward yourself of a very fine day. I want you to understand that coyote trapping really comes down to understanding location, just the right area for you to go start checking out. That's edges usually, but let's just keep it on that simple level. But we're looking at the way the coyote wants to travel. That coyote turns right around. We want to look at edges, we want to look at draws, we want to look at divides, and if it catches our eye, it's a good chance it'll catch the coyote's eye. Then we can put in whatever set that we want. We can go ahead. In my own view, is I want to set right where the coyote walks, whether we're talking a crop field or whether we're talking a cattle trail. It doesn't really matter. If I can't trap the location where he walks, maybe it's on a road and I can't do it, I at least want to put a trap like a dirt hole set on the upwind side and that type of thing. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. And like always, if you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to go and do so. Hit that like button and subscribe. And the next time I see you, good trapping.